Testing.
Okay, before we start, the City Council has met in closed session and provides the following report out. By a 5-0 vote, the City Council has agreed to settle with the Fieldbrook Glendale Community Service District pertaining to a wastewater billing dispute in the amount of $125,000. The City Council also has agreed by a 5-0 vote to settle with Pacific Shellfish Humboldt LLC pertaining to a sewer system discharge dispute in the amount of $71,500. Good evening, and thank you for viewing the March 18th meeting of the Arcata City Council. The City Council meeting is being held as a hybrid meeting with both in-person attendance and teleconference access via Zoom. The City of Arcata acknowledges that the land we are located on are the unceded ancestral lands of the Wiyot tribe. The land that Arcata rests on is known in the Wiyot language as Gudini, meaning over in the woods or among the redwoods. Past actions by local and state federal government removed the Wiyot and other indigenous peoples from the land and threatened to destroy their cultural practices. The City of Arcata acknowledges the Wiyot community, their elders both past and present, as well as future generations. This acknowledgement seeks to aid in dismantling the legacy communication period. Under Agenda Item 11, there are 3 ways to do so. 1, if you are here in person, please line up behind the podium when that item you would like to speak on is accepting public comment. 2, if you are logged into Zoom, click the raise your hand when it is time for public comment on the item that you wish to speak on. And 3, if you are on the phone, press star 9 on your phone to raise your hand, and when it is your turn, you will be prompted to dial star 6 on your phone. For these items, we will be taking in-person public comment first, then move to online comments. We will not be going back and forth, so if you are wanting to comment, please line up at the podium or raise your electronic hand as soon as the public comment is requested for that item. Now, before proceeding with this evening's agenda, I am asking that we make an agenda modification to new business so that we can move item E, adopt resolution number 256-5, demanding an immediate end to the United States-Israeli war against Iran, to the beginning of new business as item A. Tonight, I expect that several members of our public will desire to speak on this resolution and we do not want to make them sit through the entire meeting in order to do so. So may I have a motion to modify the agenda to move the new business item E, adopt resolution number 256-50, demanding an immediate end to the United States-Israeli war against Iran, to be placed at the beginning of the new business as item A.
So moved.
Okay?
I'm just wondering if we were expecting everyone to be here.
Right.
And since they're not, I feel like I'm wondering if we should, you know what I mean? I don't want people to miss it.
Right.
We got some old business though to get through, but yeah.
So are we able to make a modification later if people
To
show
the
up?
modification?
I think typically now would be the time, but you do have 2 ceremonial matters, and then you also have the consent calendar. So there's a little bit of time. So I think
Okay.
putting it at the beginning of new business, and then there'll be oral comment too. So it'll come in new business, which will be, it seems like probably at least 15, 20 minutes from now.
So I will proceed then with ceremonial matters, and we'll keep it in the order that it was before.
At the pleasure of the council.
I'll leave it up to the people who proposed.
No, I think moving it to the top of new business, but we'll still do old business before that and consent and everything else. I think that gives, ample time. So again, so move item E to the top of new business.
Okay. All right, so we'll begin with the
We
proclamation.
need a motion. That's a motion. We need a second. Then we need
Right,
to vote.
yeah,
I'll second.
okay. So we have a motion from Sarah and a second from Councilmember Matthews. Do we need to do a quick roll call? Okay, so all in favor say
Aye.
and I am aye, so the motion passes. Okay, great, thank you. All right,
Sorry. Thank you.
okay. All right, so that brings us to ceremonial matters. Proclamation in recognition of Sunshine Week, March 15th through the 21st, 2026. This certificate of appreciation will be read by Councilmember Matthews and will be accepted by Bonnie Oliver. Please.
Okay. Whereas Sunshine Week is a national, nonpartisan initiative to start dialogue on the importance of open government and the freedom of information, whose supporters are conservative, liberal, and from every group in between. And whereas an open government is vital to establishing and maintaining the people's trust in their government and in the government's ability to serve the people effectively. The free flow of information keeps government process honest and robust. Sunshine Week empowers people to play an active role in their government at all levels and strengthens their access to information that makes their lives better and their communities stronger. And whereas the League of Women's Voters of Humboldt County supports the goals of Sunshine Week and provides our residents with nonpartisan education through public forums, publications, and presentations, assists with voter registration, and encourages participation in government. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Arcata hereby recognizes March 15th through 21st, 2026 as Sunshine Week and encourages all residents to educate themselves about the government process that affects their lives. And that's dated March 18th, 2026, signed by Mayor Kimberly White. Also remind everybody that the Ray of Sunshine Awards are tomorrow night, 5:30 to 7:30 at the Eureka Theater. As a proud Excess Humboldt board member, I will be there, and this will be accepted by Bonnie Oliver. I will make sure to get this to her tomorrow evening. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, proclamation in recognition of Two-Spirit Celebration and Appreciation Day, March 20th, 2026. And this will be accepted by Alexis Viega, and it will be read by Councilmember Schaefer.
Whereas originating from indigenous communities of Turtle Island, the concept of Two-Spirit denotes a unique cultural identity that includes various sexual and gender expressions intersecting with indigenous LGBTQIA+ identities and people who hold diverse, culturally significant roles in their respective communities. And whereas Two-Spirit Day of Appreciation and Celebration is already recognized in Humboldt County as of a 2024 proclamation by the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors, the City of Arcata, the City of Eureka, as well as for years in communities across Canada, including the City of Vancouver, the province of British Columbia, the city of Saskatoon, and many Indigenous, Two-Spirit, and non-Indigenous community-based organizations across Canada, occurring annually on the spring equinox, symbolizing the harmonious balance between the length of day and night, and moving from a time of dormancy to a season of newness, growth, and light. And whereas there are 9 federally recognized tribal nations, along with a large community of Indigenous people from around the nation and around the world within Humboldt County, including those who recognize Two-Spirit people within their cultures and languages, such as the Wiyot tribe's term in Solotalk of Gumel, which means both together. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Arcata hereby declares Friday, March 20th, 2026 as Two-Spirit Celebration and Appreciation Day, and encourages all residents to learn about Two-Spirit traditions and communities today, summon the courage to stand up and speak out to to interrupt racism, sexism, homophobia, and transphobia when it occurs, and to listen with patience and empathy to create an environment for learning and understanding of each other, regardless of what we look like, where we come from, or who we love. And that is dated today, March 18th, 2026, and signed by our mayor, Kimberly White.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Alexis Villegas. My pronouns are he, him. I am a staff member and youth advocate at Queer Humboldt. I also reside on unceded Wiyot land, and I am detribalized from my Mesoamerican ancestors as a result of centuries-long colonialism and mestizaje. I'd like to thank the City of Arcata for demonstrating their support by showing up for the local Two-Spirit community today and passing our proclamation to celebrate Two-Spirit Celebration and Appreciation Day, which lands on the spring equinox this Friday, March 20th. This alignment of Two-Spirit Day with the spring equinox is meaningful, marking the end of winter and the start of spring. This matters because the spring brings out profound change, the celebration of new beginnings, and signals a time of rebirth, equity, and brightness. We live in unprecedented times, with ICE receiving an unjust amount of power to racially profile and target people of color, and now transgender people, to the quote-unquote patriotic rewriting of American history in schools nationwide, and the constant attacks on transgender people's rights to live and express freely without legal repercussions. There is an increasingly hateful movement that has been fostered by a bigoted administration. In turn, this has emboldened both governments and individuals to act on their ignorance, putting marginalized communities at even greater risk. Among the arduous list of marginalized communities being scapegoated on federal and local levels through the rollback of human rights is the Two-Spirit community, who are among the most vulnerable. Despite these scary times, we still have the chance to be on the right side of history. It starts with the recognition of the rights and dignities of local Two-Spirit people and history, a celebration of the resilience of the community to survive genocide on various fronts throughout centuries. Now is the time to raise awareness, educate, and celebrate the reintegration of Two-Spirit and Indigenous queer people, and to recognize Two-Spirit and Indigenous queer people as vital members of society. We have honored Two-Spirit Appreciation and Celebration Day for the last 2 years in Humboldt County, now going on 3. A proclamation is just one of many steps, but we have the momentum granted by the previous 2 years to keep this celebration alive and inspire others across the nation to do the same. Educate yourself on the meaning of Two-Spirit and the history, support the local Two-Spirit and Indigenous community and businesses, and acknowledge whose ancestral land that you reside on. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to item 5, report by commission committees. I don't believe we have any this evening. And then item 6, staff reports. All reports shall be specifically limited to city business and shall not request or lead to city action by the council at this meeting. And I believe we do not have any staff reports this evening. Is that correct?
No, we don't have any
Okay,
agendized.
so that brings us to oral and written communications. This is the early time limited. The city council values your comments. Public comment period allows people to address the council on matters not on the agenda. This early section of public comment is limited to 15 minutes, and speakers are limited to 2 minutes each. If you prefer to have a full 3 minutes of time for your public comment, this item is continued at the end of the meeting under item 12, where speakers are granted 3 minutes. Please know that pursuant to the Brown Act, the council cannot discuss or take action on items that are not listed on the agenda. The council may respond to statements. There will also be a time to provide public comment on each specific item when that item is being reviewed by council. So please make your way to the podium, and just a reminder, these are for items not on the agenda. Please.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to address each of you. So I am here on behalf of Redwood Peace and Justice Coalition, just updating you all on the work that we've been doing and that we're doing upcoming. So we have just transferred a second round of money for food in Gaza City during Ramadan. This brings the total we've transferred for this food in Gaza City for Ramadan to 9,000. And so this is just one more example of how that we can actually make a material difference to resist genocide here in Arcata, California. This has been a collective effort, community effort, and we are always building our membership. We're out there at the farmers market every week and talking to people at the Palestine Talking Corner, the closest corner to Cafe Brio. And we have upcoming a second annual Humboldt Radical Social Forum. So this is something we're very proud of, that we're able to do these as an annual event. We had a really great time last year on this, bringing globally renowned speakers, and this time is no exception. We have a woman, Palestinian American lawyer speaking. This is April 11th, Saturday, so coming up in just about over 3 weeks. So Huwaida Araf, she is going to be addressing us from the Global Flotilla that's upcoming. She'll be talking to us from Italy, right as they set out on their Global Flotilla to try and break the siege on Gaza. We also have Isa Amro, who's going to be addressing us from the West Bank. He's a Palestinian activist. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Next.
So regarding the Sister City resolution, well, firstly, also speaking on behalf of the RPJC, please pass this resolution. So I want to stress a point that I have talked about in the past here, which is if the RPJC has been able to transfer so many funds to the people of Gaza and help out so many people, and we've been able to do that completely above board without any legal repercussions, then the potential concern regarding a sister city about there being legal issues there, clearly that does not apply. If Arcata were to come to have this kind of relationship with Gaza City, then all that would really change is we'd be able to continue getting these funds to these people so that they can survive, and this would not present anything of a risky nature. So thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you for your comment. So if there is no one else in public that'd like to speak, do we have anyone on Zoom?
Yes, we have 2 hands on Zoom.
Great, thank you.
Sorry, 3 hands.
Okay, we'll take those 3.
Thank you. Call-in user 1, please go ahead. Call-in user 1.
Hi, yes. I'd just like to speak about the Arcata Police Department. Lately, I've seen them parking for days at a time on the plaza during busy times. I've also seen them blatantly running stop signs, particularly on G Street. I've almost seen them hit people before. And I would just like to have them be beholden to the same standard that we as citizens of Arcata are beholden to. I think that's not too much to ask for, especially because we've been giving them $50,000 bonuses for new hires. I'm also concerned about the environmental disaster that is the block fire, the remnants of the block fire down across from Humbrew's. I can still smell chemicals and char when I walk past there. And so I'd like to think that we as a city can come up with the funds one way or another, at least start in this direction and focus more on the environment here rather than increased police force. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next.
Free Iran, please go ahead. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes.
I'm just here to say that down with the Islamic Republic, down with the Islamic Republic, down with the Islamic Republic, free Iran. It's a shame that you guys even talk about stopping this rescue mission. This is not a war. This is a war with the Islamic Republic. We are done with that. Stand with Iranian women. Stand with Iranian people and stop this madness.
Yeah,
We don't need this right now. We are getting
hello,
free.
I'm sorry.
Stand with
You
us.
are speaking on something that is on the agenda. You will have an
Yes.
opportunity later for that. Thank you for the.
Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that brings, is there one more person or that was the last third? Yeah,
No,
okay.
they lowered their hand.
Perfect. All right. So all matters on the consent calendar are considered to be routine by the city council and are enacted in one motion. There is no separate discussion of any of these items. If discussion is required, that item is removed from the consent calendar and considered separately. A, approval to waive reading of the text and consent to read by title only for any ordinance on this agenda. B, approve the minutes of the city council special meeting of February 26, 2026. C, approve the minutes of the City Council Special Meeting Study Session of February 26, 26. D, approve the minutes of the City Council Special Meeting of March 4th, 2026. E, approve the minutes of the City Council Meeting of March 4th, 2026. F, biweekly report on disbursements. G, reappoint Aaron Kelly and Yana Valakovic to the Forest Management Committee, each for 3-year term ending March 31st, 2029. Reappoint Stephanie Lane and Heather Quarles to the Parks and Recreation Committee, each for a 3-year term ending March 31st, 2029. I repeat, reappoint Emma Held to the Wetlands and Creeks Committee for a 3-year term ending March 31st, 2029. J, reappoint Peggy Martinez to the Transportation Committee, Safety Committee for a 3-year term ending March 31st, 2029. And K, approve sponsorship in the amount equivalent to the Plaza event fees of $2,575 for the Playhouse Arts and the Ferry Festival of 2026, Arcata Ferry Festival to be held on the Arcata Plaza on June 28th, 2026. Would any council member or staff like to remove an item from the consent calendar? Okay. Do we have any members of the public waiting to comment on any of the consent calendar items? If so, please line up at the podium now or raise your hand on Zoom for public comment on the consent calendar items.
Thank you. My name's Joanne McGarry, and I just want to say thank you for recognizing when we have very wonderful events on the plaza, such as the Ferry Festival, that the city recognizes the great need to support these events and thus giving the sponsorship that will result in their the people at the Ferry Festival and maybe other festivals to come not having to pay the permit fee for use of the plaza. So I just thank you for recognizing how a struggle it is for a lot of people to put on these events, and being able to sort of waive those fees by your sponsorship is greatly appreciated.
Thank you for your comment. If we have no one else in public, can you tell me if we have anyone on Zoom?
No, we do not.
Okay, thank you. So would any council member at this point have any further discussion? If not, then may I have a motion to adopt the consent calendar?
I will
so move to adopt the consent calendar.
I will second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councilmember Stillman and a second from Councilmember Schaefer. Is there any more discussion before we vote? Otherwise, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so the motion passes. That brings us to old business. A, public hearing to authorize submission of 3 applications for funding under the State 2025 Community Development Block Grant, the CDBG program. Can we have a staff report from Community Development Director David Loya, please?
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and council members. This item I'll be very brief on. We've had several scoping meetings, lots of discussions at the council, and that resulted in focusing on 3 applications. And so those three applications are on packet page 36 that we're proposing based on prior council direction. And so we're asking that you open the public hearing, accept public comment, and then adopt resolution numbers 256-46, authorizing the applications, and 256-40, which would identify myself as the certifying officer for NEPA. And with that, I'd ask that you open for public comment and adopt those resolutions.
Okay, thank you for that. So we will be opening up the public hearing. Do we have any members of the public waiting to comment on this item, either in person or on Zoom? If so, please make your way to the podium. Anybody on Zoom? Nope. Are you
No, we don't have any hands on
Did you
Zoom.
want to comment on this item? Please step forward. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Joanne McGarry. I'm just hoping for a little clarification. This is the beginning of a public hearing today, and there's going to be ongoing public hearings, or is this the only time for public hearing on this matter? I'm sorry, it's just a clarification question.
It's now.
Okay, so I was attending, and I appreciate the 3 items that our city is applying for the state applications for community development block grant monies. And I just want to say that I've been getting some information, and I'm just saying this as informational, from people who are apparently trying to get on the ballot information about transparency and auditing of folks who are recipients perhaps of some of these monies. And it may not apply in this particular case because they might be city projects, but we're in Sunshine Week, so I'm constantly thinking about that. So I just appreciate the dedication of staff to come up with this, and I hope to God we get the grants that we are applying for and that we desperately need.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else in public that would like to comment on this item? If not, let's go over to see if we have anyone on Zoom.
No, we do not.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. All right, so do we have any final comments or a motion from council?
Well, I would so move to authorize submission of the 3 applications for funding under the state 2025 Community Development Block Grant CDBG program.
May I interrupt real quick before we proceed?
You want me to change it over to
There's 2 resolutions for adoption.
I haven't pulled up, Alex. If you don't mind, I'll just go ahead and.
So, motion to adopt resolution number 25-40, authorizing a submission of 3 2025 CDBG applications to resolution number 256-46, designating the NEPA certified officer for the environmental documents related to applications described in resolution number 256-40. Thank you.
And just to clarify, the first resolution, I heard you say, I think 26-40, but is it, just to confirm, 256-40?
25640.
Thank you.
I will second.
Before we go to a vote, I know that it was hard to choose between water meters and housing. And I was just wondering, Director Loya, if you could share the information that you shared with us at the Homeless Services meeting today, which might help us feel a little bit better.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to. And I did want to make sure that my staff report was brief, and so I did gloss over this. But yeah, in putting the application together, we're starting that work already because we have a short timeline. And so we're anticipating your approval of the projects that we had talked about at our last meeting. And while we were going through the application process, we realized that there's this time around sort of a heightened necessity for readiness in the CDBG application. And so for projects that are proposing to construct something, the application is actually requiring that you have bid specification ready documents. So a set of plans that's ready to be bid on that, can be taken to the building department and a building permit issued. You have to have completed your NEPA work already. So the environmental work is completed, everything is done, all the analysis is done. And that's just the threshold requirements to apply. And so, we didn't understand that level of detail when we were making our recommendations before. And as it turns out, the Grove project, which, still I think is a very good project, something that, we want to continue to look forward to, trying to find some way to fund, it actually would not have been eligible for this particular round because it's just not at that level of readiness yet. And so, it's nice that we have an alternative. In the water meter project, we still have to, figure out whether or not what we have and what we're able to submit for this particular application for water meters, because it is a construction project, will meet those thresholds. But I feel a lot more confident in what we have for the water meters than what we had for the Grove at this time. So,
Great. I personally want to thank staff for your thoroughness and proactivity and your excellent work in preparing these applications, which do align with our planning and our economic development plans. So do we have a second?
Stacy, thank you for requesting that update. I really appreciate that. So I'm a yes.
So we have a motion and a second. So Councilmember Stillman made the motion. We have a second from Councilmember Schaefer. If there is no more discussion, let's go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I
Aye.
vote aye, so the motion passes. All right, so that brings us to item B, adopt ordinance number 1581, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Arcata adopting a comprehensive update to the coastal zoning ordinance and resolution number 256-49 for submittal of the local coastal program comprehensive update. May we please have a staff report from our Community Development Director, David Loya, please.
First, let me just start by saying woot woot. I'll also keep this very brief. This would have been on consent, except that we wanted to make sure that we entered into the record under your recommendation bullet number 2 that you confirm that the amendment made on March 4, 2026 to strike the word parking from the section referenced, and this was about the outdoor lighting. It wasn't just applicable to parking areas. We wanted it to be applicable to all areas outdoors. So striking that word parking, and that word is stricken in the ordinance, will not be included, but we want you to confirm that. And then adopt ordinance 1581, ordinance of the City Council of the City of Arcata, adopting the comprehensive update, and then also adopting resolution 25649, and that is to direct staff to make the application. Because this is on our regular agenda, I'd appreciate if you open for public comment.
Absolutely. So any public comment in person or online? If so, please make your way to the podium.
Hi, my name's Joanne McGarry, and only because other people who I thought might be here to speak about this, I just want to say woot, woot, woot in regards to this finally coming to fruition. And, it's not what everybody wanted exactly, and one can never get exactly what you want. You can't always get what you want. But I'm so appreciative of the Dark Sky Initiative inclusion in this proposal, because that is the future. And I just want to thank the staff for the many years effort put into this coastal program, local coastal program, and may the Coastal Commission see fit to approve it.
Thank you for your comment. Do we have anyone else in person for public comment for this item? If not, let's move over to Zoom, please.
We do not have any hands on Zoom.
Okay, well, I just want to say that if you try real hard, you will get what you need. So thank you, David Loya, for all of your work on this for a very, very long time. Any final comments from council?
So do you need 2 motions, one to confirm the amendment on March 4th to get rid of strike?
What's this?
I know it's the whole thing, but
Yeah, there's one motion with 2 separate components to it, the ordinance and the resolution.
well, I remember this back in 2006, 8, 10. We were always working on the coastal plan. We were one day it was going to get this far, and I hope that it actually gets approved. So with that, I would say, I'm going to read what I think it is. Confirm the amendment made to March 4th, 2026 to strike the word parking from the section 2114 dash or point 080 dot D dot 1 dot C of the coastal zoning ordinance. Adopt ordinance number 1581, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Arcata adopting comprehensive update to the coastal zoning ordinance, waive reading of text and consent to read by title only. And adopt resolution number 256-49, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Arcata authorizing submittal to Coastal Commission for certification. We pray.
I will second that, and congratulations, David.
So we do have a motion from Councilmember Stillman and a second from Councilmember Matthews. And just to add that this comprehensive update to the coastal zoning ordinance and the local coastal program ensures that Arcata's policies remain consistent with state requirements and strengthens our protections for the coastal development. So thank you for all of your hard work on this. And so all those in favor?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so the motion passes. Great. Woo, woot, woot. All right. Speech. All right, so that does bring us to new business. In accordance with the agenda modification made at the beginning of this meeting, we will now be taking the following item first and will then continue with the rest of the items under new business in the order in which they were originally placed on the agenda. A, adopt resolution number 256-50 demanding an immediate end to the United States-Israeli war against Iran. Can we have a staff report from our city manager, Merritt Perry, please?
And I think I'll defer to Council Member Schaefer, who proposed this, but the recommendation is that the council adopt resolution 25650 demanding an immediate end to the U.S.-Israeli war. And I don't have a lot of discussion. It's included in the staff report, and I'd be happy to hand that back to the council.
Yeah, and I can briefly speak to this. I worked with former Mayor Dave Meserve to put this together. Again, based off of, pretty intense community feedback that I had received about wanting to do something like this and wanting to do it in a more prompt way than we've done previously with other resolutions or other things, because it's happening now. And so I'd love to hear from the public, and I have some, thoughts that I can share later, but let's, hear from the public first.
Okay, so, and before we make your way to the podium, I would like to see a raise of hands for in-person comment, and then the same for Zoom if we could. Could the city clerk assist in the count for both in-person and Zoom so that we can allocate time accordingly? So raise your hand if you're going to be in person. Help me count real quick. 1, 2, 8, 9. Okay, so what's the total number in person?
I had 8 in person.
Okay.
And there are 4 hands raised on Zoom.
Okay. So, yeah, let's go ahead and do 3 minutes. Make your way up to the podium, please.
Hi, Council. Hi, Council. I'm Dan Shaheen. Thank you so much for bringing this so quickly to a vote on the council. We don't want to repeat what we've seen in the past. We know the community's for this. I really thank you for taking that to heart and acting on it. We all want peace. I think that's been affirmed in previous ceasefire resolutions going all the way back to Dave Meserve's back in the first Gulf War. So let's continue in that tradition and get a unanimous vote for it. Thanks again.
Thank you for your comment. Next, please.
Yes, please take this action to help end this campaign of aggression against a sovereign nation. And it's something that I want everybody to keep in mind about Arcata's role or potential role within ending this war is Arcata may be a smaller town, but Arcata also has a rich history of radical politics. And if the city were to pass this resolution, that would help Arcata keep up that reputation. as a hotbed of proto-revolutionary activity. But that's a larger conversation. The point here is please act to help end the killing of Iranians.
Thank you for your comment. Next, please.
I have two companions of support. My name is, yeah. I'm Eileen Mandelbaum. This is Gabe Valet and Judy Foster. And we are here to support this resolution and to thank you very much for considering it and opening it up to public discussion. We are Arcata residents, as well as members of a new indivisible group, Mobilize Arcata. Our goal as volunteers is to help local resistance, to help organize local resistance to our increasingly authoritarian government. We're doing this by reaching out to our friends, neighbors, and others to stand up to the relentless assaults on our rights and well-being. We work to make information sharing easier. We assist other local grassroots resistance groups and civic organizations such as Centro del Pueblo, and we participate in nonviolent, peaceful actions. Most importantly, we want to support each other, everyone, during this time of hardship and great peril for our nation and the world. But as we watch other cities push back, organizing from the grassroots, we know where our power lies. And you, as our elected representatives, have even more power to influence outcomes and make a difference for all of us. Some claim that by opposing this war by the United States and Israel, we are unpatriotic or even anti-Semitic. This is a false argument of convenience put forward by those who want to intimidate us from defending our bedrock constitutional rights. Meanwhile, this president and his cabal of oligarchs are robbing Americans blind while pursuing their reckless, expanding fantasies of holy wars of liberation. These are really pursuits for power and greed and war profiteering. I am Jewish. I lost members of my grandparents' generation in the Holocaust, but I support a free state of Palestine alongside a free state of Israel. I cannot support the genocide perpetrated by Israel in Gaza, nor their expanding invasion of the West Bank and Lebanon, turning those communities into more death zones. We are funding these wars of aggression by invading Iran. Please magnify our voices at this pivotal moment and send this resolution to Congress. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. If we could just refrain for the sake of everybody here, make everybody comfortable. Come up, please, whoever's ready to speak next.
I just want to support Eileen. I'm Judy Foster, and I'm a member of Mobilize Arcata, and I'm just so against this war and any wars that are going on today. I would like to see the resolution passed for Arcata to be against it and to save the innocent lives of the innocent people being lost today and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next, please.
Hello, I'm Chip Sharp. Thank you for welcoming people to speak on this. There are a number of federal actions and issues that deeply and broadly affect local communities. But I don't know of any that are more urgent than this one, the war that's being carried on and escalated against Iran. So I just want to thank you for adopting this resolution and for encouraging citizen engagement. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next, please.
And thank you very much for letting us speak on this issue. So thank you for putting this on your agenda. I just want to give a special thanks to Dave Meserve for taking the resolution that we proposed and working with you guys and us and getting a draft that is really good. RPJC does endorse this version. And so we hope that you will pass it. And I also would just small suggestion, it could also be added to direct the letter to be sent to the United Nations, especially considering how many times that it seems like our elected officials locally are not actually, like in the national government, are not actually doing what we want them to. And so the United Nations, it might make a real impact. Also, on that same note, possibly urging the United Nations to hold U.S. and Israel accountable under Article 2, Section 4, which is basically about the duty not to attack a sovereign nation, which Israel and U.S. has done. Now, this unprovoked attack on Israel, it really underlines also just how important the work that we've been doing with creating a sister city with, or attempting to create a sister city with Gaza is, because Palestine is being genocided by Israel. It's been a continuous war, basically from one to the next, one genocidal war to the next. And this current war threatens us all in different ways, certainly, but the impacts cannot be overstated. I mean, we're looking at potentially very serious impact in our personal budgets with inflation, also paying for wars and almost never-ending wars. I mean, it's hard to imagine where this is headed, and certainly it could even escalate beyond what any of us could even imagine. And so it's just so important that we do what we can to highlight, just how important this issue is to oppose war. Now, certainly we can feel hopeless, we can feel powerless, right? But it's so important that we come together as a community and vocalize our opposition to this warmongering, because the media wants us to believe that we are powerless, that we have no power, that we might as well just be quiet, right? But in fact, I think that how much money is spent to different sorts of propaganda to convince us that we are alone, weak and helpless, powerless, just shows how we actually do have power. So we need to find that power and use it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next, please.
Hi, my name's Joanne McGarry, and I normally wear this peace and love dove flag, but I'm holding it in front of the podium for now because this is the Arcata I want to see. Some issues that the people of this community really, really care about, that the elected officials understand and agree to have discussed in public in an urgent manner, because it really is a life or death matter for so many people in the world. And it truly is this ongoing war, and the monies that are being spent are a real threat to our lives here and our way of living. So please, thank you so much for putting this on the agenda, for working with some seasoned veterans of the peace movement to understand that Arcata truly is a place of peace that can demonstrate in a small way, in a huge butterfly effect, that we can ask for peace in our community and in the world. I am a Catholic, and I have been following Pope Leo and his cardinals, especially the ones in Iran and the Middle East, and including the American cardinals, who are very outspoken on this issue, very outspoken, and I applaud them for their bravery. So this world right now we live in requires courage and bravery, and we need to overcome fear. So be not afraid. Please be brave. And thank you for the speed with which you've addressed this issue, this urgent issue. And please pass it unanimously. That would be wonderful.
Thank you for your comment. Next, please.
Hello, Council. Dave Mazur. First, I want to thank Sarah for meeting with me, and I think what we did in terms of editing the original resolution was to bring it down to focus on Iran, not just on everything that's going on in the Middle East, and to focus on the total wrongness of this war. War is always wrong as far as I'm concerned, but when you have a totally unprovoked attack with no real threat against the United States from Iran, and in total violation of the UN Charter, of all international law, and of the US Constitution, because it was never considered by Congress, then there's just no way this war can go on. So I'm really happy that it's on the agenda for the City Council. I'm also hoping for a unanimous decision for it. I think, there was a comment at the beginning, there was a beginning of some comments at the beginning of the meeting, which indicate that at least one person thinks this is somehow that we need to take down the Iranian government, and that's what this is doing. In no way is this war helping to get rid of the Iranian government. It's bombing military bases, it's killing members of the Iranian government, but what that does is strengthen it and actually, I believe, makes more likely more slaughters of demonstrators than the one that occurred about a month ago. It doesn't reduce the chance of that happening, and it doesn't weaken the government. Imagine yourself as an Iranian citizen watching the bombs fall down, and if they're hitting schools and hospitals, as well as military bases and apartment buildings, it's a very scary thing. It's also in no way anti-Semitic. This is anti-war. This is saying, no, we can't attack another country with bombs and missiles, especially if they haven't attacked or really threatened us in any way. The scariest thing about it, as someone mentioned, is the fact that we don't know where this is going. We have crazy leadership, if you can call it leadership, and we don't know where it's going, and there's a huge chance for escalation into something much, much more worse. So I hope that you will all approve this resolution, and thank you again for putting it on the agenda. Peace.
Thank you for your comment. Next, please.
I would like to pass some, because I sent it by email, some information, and I don't know if you got it, so I have 3 copies. Okay, can I talk after,
Yes, our city clerk will bring those.
Okay, so this is the 3 copy, because I'm going to talk about this. Did you get my email? I don't know, because I sent an email with these copies and These were distributed. Okay. Okay, but I wanted because it's part of what I want to talk. So my name is Tamar Kriegel. Let me start clearly. I do not support war. I believe in diplomacy, dialogue, and peaceful resolution. But I will not accept a resolution that describes division and misinformation as a call for peace. Resolution 25650 is not a natural or thoughtful statement. It is a politically motivated document driven by individuals who present themselves as an advocate for peace, but whose actions consistently tell a different story. Let's be honest about what is happening. The author and supporters of this resolution are part of a movement that repeatedly target Israel and those who identified with it, not through a balanced criticism, but through defamation, distortion, and hostility. And I'm giving you references from there. This is not a peace advocacy. It's a coordinated effort to delegitimize a country and marginalize members of this community who feel concerned to it. A true peace movement builds bridges. It does not single out one nation. It does not reduce complex global conflict into slogan, and it certainly does not create an environment where people feel intimidated or excluded because of of who they are and what they believe. Yet this is exactly what we are seeing here. In our community spaces meant to unite us, we have seen persistent, one-sided political messaging that does not invite a conversation, but shut it down. Messaging that does not seek understanding, but assign blames. We are not to say and we need to say it plainly, which Israel is uniquely blamed for global conflict, when Zionists are treated as something to be condemned rather than engaged, that crosses a line. This is not activism, this is prejudice. History has shown us the danger for this pattern and simplify a complex problem by assigning blame to one people or one nation. It's never end well. It is irresponsible to allow that thinking to take root here. Resolution does not represent the majority of this community. It represents a loud, organized minority that has been allowed to dominate.
For your comment.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will now move to the 4 online. Please.
Aqua, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Megan Nazari. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I appreciate all non-Iranians in this room to speak on behalf of me, an Iranian. I am pro-war. My family live there, and for the last 3 weeks, I have not heard of it. Now, you must ask yourself, why is it a nation? All the Iranians are fighting Americans, are trying to, not Americans, but we're trying to convince you why this makes sense. You guys have killed the new leader, his father, his child, his wife, and haven't been able to strike a deal with these guys for 47 years. What makes it, if you're proposing no war, you have to provide a solution. You know, that doesn't make sense. United Nations, after killing 30,000 people, came and the Secretary of United Nations congratulated the head of the state on anniversary of revolution in Iran. Do not replicate that. A gentleman said sovereign of Iran. Iranian regime is not a state of sovereign. It's a dictatorship. It's a terrorism. And the reason that there is no peace in Palestine is because Iran has been supporting Hamas. I take my time off. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next.
Before I move forward, Mayor, in the beginning we had 4 hands. It went down to 3, and it's back up to 9. So I just wanted to seek your guidance on how to
Yeah, we
proceed.
did make it clear in the beginning that if you were to speak, to raise your hand now, and so to not set precedent, we need to stick with the original 4, please. Thank you.
Okay, so in that case, I'll be allowing 2 more speakers since the 4th dropped off. Okay,
That's
thank you.
fine. Thank you.
I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, Mojgan. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much. I just want to say that there is a moral issue here that we cannot ignore. The regime in Iran over 47 years has executed thousands, crushed dissidents, and brutalized its own people. As someone who has been the consequence of that system, I do not say this lightly. History has shown us that what happens when the world ignores or downplays regime that commit mass atrocities. Before World War II, many believed that negotiation with Hitler could avoid confrontation, and that policy of appeasement did not prevent war. It only emboldened it. We saw a different lesson in Kosovo War. The international community acted to stop mass atrocity. It wasn't perfect, but the intervention saved lives and prevented further devastation. So For these reasons, I urge the Council to look beyond slogans and consider the broader consequences. Peace is not preserved by ignoring danger, but by confronting it responsibly. And I respectfully ask you to oppose and withdraw this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next, please.
Abraham, please go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so I'm speaking off the cuff today. I'm here to show solidarity with my Iranian and also with my Jewish neighbors. I'm not ready to take a public position on the war itself yet, but personally, I hate war. If we get in a war, I would like to win, and I know that you don't do that by like throwing down your arms and surrendering to the enemy. I know somebody said that you don't weaken your enemies by killing them. I respectfully disagree. You know, and I think if you're going to, before you adopt this resolution, we should ask, what's the goal here? Do you want to end the war? Because if you want to end the war, I think you're going to have to talk to the regime in Iran who does not want to end the war. I think you're going to have to talk to the Iranian people in Iran who do not want us to stop defending them. And so, you know, there's complicated stuff here as far as, do we have a moral obligation to support our allies and uphold our treaties of mutual self-defense with our ally Israel? Yeah, I think we do. And I've heard a couple of people say already, you know, oh, well, this war is funding Israel's genocide. This is the kind of thing. This is just a foil for people to slander the Jews. Again, where it's an opportunity for people to say, oh, Israel's committing genocide and we have to stand against it. How is it a genocide? You want to talk about a terrorist regime, a terrorist state? Iran invented terrorism. They invented modern day terrorism. Soleimani, Ayatollah Khomeini, they're gone now. And I watched as our government did nothing to defend our citizens as they were kidnapped and held hostage in Gaza by Hamas, which is a proxy of Iran. Iran is funding the terrorists. Okay, we're not funding Israel's invasion of Palestine by helping Israel defend itself against Iran, which is actually the state that's funding the terrorists that are attacking Israel. Okay, so Iran's the one funding the terrorists. The terrorists are trying to invade Israel still today, and we're helping them to defend themselves. I don't see an issue with that. You know, especially if it's going to be an opportunity to slander the Jews yet again. So again, I want the war to end as soon as possible, just like everybody else does, but not like this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Do we have another? That was it. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so do we have any final comments or a motion from council? Yeah.
Great. I will just speak and, you know, just give a couple of reasons why I think doing something like this is important and doing it promptly is important. Do I think this is going to end any war? No, I don't believe that. This is largely, you know, in my opinion, it is a largely kind of performative action, but I think performative actions like this are important because it provides kind of a temperature check, both for the public and for us, right? Like of where we stand on some of these issues that are gravely important to people. I also think that it is a local issue because as we're seeing our government pull away all of our grant money for different projects, as people are losing health care and benefits are being taken away from people. We're still spending billions and billions of dollars for not even what is now called our defense budget. It is our Department of War's budget, and it is a war budget. And that is what we are spending money on as we continue to escalate militarily all across the world, which is militarism is a key sign of sliding into fascism. And we are doing it constantly as we are talking about how Cuba is going to be next, and we're talking about wanting to take Greenland, and we are actively bombing, yes, a sovereign nation. Regime change, it should not be the role of the U.S. government to go facilitate regime change every time we are not happy with the way that another country is operating and that they don't want to operate within our parameters of how we want to run the world. And bombing them and starting greater regional wars is not going to help create stability in the Middle East. I grew up during the Iraq War, and even as I was 10 to 15 years old during that time. I didn't think that we should be at war then. And that was even before I knew about the legacy of US imperialism and why we go to these wars. I also just, believe in our Constitution and believe in the powers of our Congress to be able to declare war. Where is Congress in this, and why are they not being brought in on these really important decisions that our president is unilaterally making with the Department of War, again, to bomb and kill people? So I think that these are important. I'm anti-war. It comes completely from an anti-war and a stance to be able to say, hey, this is something that we don't like that our federal government is doing right now. And I think that this has come up a lot in the last, it's only been like a year and a half. But again, that our federal government is doing something that is very scary, is not largely supported by the citizenry. We are already seeing a president that has a very low approval rating that is going down and down. And so, again, I was happy.
But I have to say that I agree with everything that you said. I said I would support if she wanted to bring this forward. I did not sit down and talk to Dave Meserve. I was out of town on work business when the email came through that this was going on the agenda. So I didn't really have much chance for input. Again, I don't expect to wake up tomorrow and see that the city of Arcata ended the war, but I appreciate all the public comments that we've gotten and all that we continue to get. So thank you. I know that, again, this is something that can be very polarizing, but I think that at the end, we can all agree that, I don't know, I'm done.
Thank you. I'm going to move over to my left now. So, Stacy?
Sure. I would say, there are people that sometimes just don't think that we should bring any type of issues like this to our dais, and I get that. I'm often one of those, but the issue, it is here before us, and I absolutely will be voting in favor of this resolution. I have no doubt it's the right thing to do. It's not about that I'm supporting what is going on in Iran. It's not that I wish any ill will towards Jewish folks. It is about our government acting without a process. Councilmember Schaefer said it well. Our president is going rogue, and I don't want to support that with my tax dollars. So we do have a right to speak about it. I also don't want any of our young people ending up in some type of war there. So it is our duty to speak up about that. I appreciate the folks that spoke today. I think that's all I have to say.
Well, just watching what's been going on at the federal level is actually disheartening. And yeah, I just think we're really off base. And so, I have lived through the Vietnam War and through Desert Storm and all the other ones because of my age, and I just think it's not the way to go. So, and Kimberly, it's your turn.
So, as my fellow council members have stated, I too concur and recognize the seriousness of this matter. And so with that, rather than reiterate what everyone else has said, since I concur, do we have a motion?
Yeah, I will make a motion to adopt resolution number 256-50, demanding an immediate end to the United States-Israeli war against Iran.
I will second that.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councilmember Schaefer, a second from Councilmember Matthews. And so let's do all those in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye, so the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, so that brings us to item B. We are going to appoint 3 members to 3 vacancies on the Transportation Safety Committee. We will designate 1 member to a planning area term ending March 31st, 2027, and effective immediately, and 2 members to resident terms ending in March 31st, 2029, effective April 1st, 2026. So earlier this evening, we interviewed 3 candidates for the 3 vacancies on the Transportation Safety Committee. The council will appoint 3 members to fill these vacancies on the committee, and I personally want to thank each one of them for stepping up and wanting to serve our community in this very important role. So I would like to start maybe on my left this time, if I could, with council member.
To make a motion, I'd be more than happy.
Or discussion or whatever.
Well, I feel like
however you feel led.
we have 3 vacancies and we have 3 applicants, and they all seem like they would be very good for this committee, and they all have different points of view, and I think that's I shouldn't say different points of view. They all have different interests, which all would be very good for us to have on this committee. So with that, if you want to have more discussion, I'll make a motion and then you can all discuss it. Okay, so for the planning area, the term ends March 31st, 2027. It's effective immediately. Similadia, I didn't pronounce that, Lando. The next is the resident term that ends March 31st, 2029, effective April 1st, 2026, Samantha Sanders. Resident term ends March 31st, 2029, effective April 1st, 2026, Jeff Sandler. I just put you in the order we saw you.
Could we just do for correction, it's Samantha Sautier, and I probably butchered it, but it's not Sanders, I know that.
Sander.
Okay, great. Perfect. Thank
Well,
you.
So as we interviewed you, what I did is I just put you in the order of the interviews. I could switch it around if you prefer, but I think you always have the opportunities on these committee, if you want to be reappointed when the term ends. So you have another opportunity. So thank you very much for your applications and for joining us in the city of Arcata.
Yeah, I will happily second that. And I do, I really appreciate these interviews. I like to hear what people think about these committees. I started on a committee and look where I am. It could be you. Maybe, hopefully it will be you one day, because some of you were very enthusiastic and had some really great ideas. So thank you for serving. Yeah, I second.
Okay, so we have a motion from council members.
Can we take it to the public?
Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. We will be opening this up to the public, so step on up to the podium, and thank you for that reminder.
Hi, my name's Joanne McGarry, and I so appreciate people in the community volunteering to serve on committees. I have thought about it, but feel like I want to stay here at the public podium for the time being. But I totally appreciate those who step forward, but I need a little bit of clarification. There is 3 vacancies, and 1 is for the Planning Commission, and 2 are for, no, okay.
One is the planning area, so they aren't a resident of Arcata. And we always have that planning commission, different committees.
Okay.
The other 2 are residents of the city of Arcata. So I'm sorry I didn't clarify that for
Okay,
you.
yeah, so I appreciate that, saying it again, because people watching this or hearing about it later, that makes it a little bit clear, so that's all I kind of wanted to say. So congratulations.
Thank you for your comment. Is anyone else wanting to make an in-person public comment right now? So let's move over to Zoom. Do we have anybody on Zoom that would like to do that?
I have one hand raised. And just to confirm, for the person with the raised hand, this is for vacancies on the Transportation Safety Committee. Please go ahead, iPhone. Oh, they lowered their hand.
Okay. So, as Councilmember Matthews had said that she had also started on a committee, I too started up as a planning commissioner for 3 years. So super excited about our new 3 transportation committee, safety committee members. We do have a motion from Councilmember Stillman, a second from Councilmember Matthews. So all in favor?
Aye.
And I say aye, so the motion passes unanimously. Okay, thank you. I'd like to All right, welcome. All right, so that will bring us to consider adopting resolution number 256-57, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Arcata accepting the mid-year budget review and approving budget revisions for fiscal year 2026. May I have a staff report from our Assistant City Manager, Tabitha Miller, please?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and members of the public. So mid-year comes in March every year, and there's just a few things that we do with this opportunity. We review the current status of our budget, check in and make sure that our revenues are on where we expect them to be. We check our expenses and where we're going to be. What you have before you and the action you're actually taking tonight is on recommendations for budget adjustments, and this will be projects, unanticipated expenditures, and we'll also do revenue refinements. Most of what you're going to see tonight is actually moving money probably into next year or the year after budgets. It's adjustments to our capital program for projects that will not start this year, but likely next year. We'll also take an opportunity to review where we believe we'll be at the end of the fiscal year, and this paves the way for reviewing our budget and getting ready for the budget process for next year for 26-27. This is just a summary of the total dollars and some of the categories that we're asking you to approve with the resolution. I think there's a 6 or 8 page exhibit to the resolution that identifies each and every one of these individually. But just to kind of give you an idea of what that is the mid-year net adjustments, which are the two big numbers that at the top are really primarily those adjustments to capital projects. So what happens is we determine that we're not going to be spending the money this year. And what that also means is that because many of these are grant funded, it means that we're also not going to be getting the revenue from those grants because we haven't done the work to get reimbursed. So that's really what most of the first two lines, the mid-year net adjustments, are about. We also, at the beginning of the fiscal year, we roll some purchase orders and budgets from the prior year forward to be finished. And you'll see about $2.6 million of that in this resolution. We have one council-approved use of fund balance, and that happens to be the Reconnecting Arcata project, where we didn't receive the funds this year from the $3 million grant, but the council actually approved general fund use for those dollars. We've got some that are offset by revenue. You will notice if you look at the two numbers there, one is $1.6 million and the expense is only $400,000. That actually happens to be correcting an error that happened when we approved the budget last year. We missed a revenue number for a grant. And then we've got some new supplemental budget items, and I'll show those on the next page, but there is a little bit of revenue that offsets that. These are the projects that are really new projects that are being recommended as part of the budget. There's about $665,000 coming from your general fund, and the remainder is coming from some of your smaller funds for special uses. We've got an emergency repair at 11th and B Street. We've got additional bike share stations, including 10 e-bikes. We've got a facilities master plan to pave the way for some long-term planning for all of the city facilities. We've got 2 floor replacements for kitchens at FoodWorks, and this is necessary for those to be to have the ability to use those as kitchens for preparing food. We've got $113,000 in a combination of EOC response. This is really looking at what we need to have on hand as far as supplies and equipment to respond to those emergencies, and about $20,000 in some fire related expenses that the city incurred. We've got $32,000 in cybersecurity for our IT systems, $20,000 in green waste during the transition from the 1383 and the prior system. And then we've got some miscellaneous traffic signs and utility box murals as just wrapping that up. Just really quickly, I did want to point out sort of the impact of these changes to your budget. Again, what you're seeing is reductions on both the expense and the revenue side. You'll see each type of fund on the left and the differences there on the right-hand side. Again, the special revenue and even the general fund, those two large numbers are capital projects and capital funding that will not happen this year, but will most likely happen next year. Same thing with the other dollars. This is a summary of the revenues on the other side, and again, a little less of a reduction. We also had a little tiny bit of revenue we added in our taxes, in our general fund. We had projected those pretty conservatively, and while they're flat and we're not seeing any growth from the prior year, we have projected that they will be a little above our budget, about $400,000 in total. Moving on to the impact, one of the other things is looking at sort of the impacts of all of those budget adjustments going forward. And what this is really showing you where our current budget year to date is before the changes that you would be adopting tonight. And that's in the middle column. And then what these proposed adjustments would do to the difference between revenues less expenses. And you will notice that for the most part, we did adopt a budget that had some deficit spending. We were going to use fund balance, particularly for capital projects, with the biggest amount coming from our water and wastewater funds. But if you look to the right, I've got highlighted the general fund because I think it's really important to see that the changes will actually put our general fund in a better health than we had originally budgeted. The other thing that happens, something that I do on the side, is that I go through all of the revenue and expense accounts, and I actually do just an estimate of where I think they're going to end at year end, which is sometimes different than budget. A lot of times that's because departments don't ask me to reduce their budgets all the time. They want to have that flexibility of having those dollars that have been approved. I show the general fund actually in the positive in my estimates. And as a point of example, last year I went through the same exercise. When I came to you for mid-year budget, that negative number, the net impact of those changes was about $1.4 million. And for 24-25, we actually ended up to the good of about $740,000. So we do budget kind of conservatively, and I want to pass that on to the council. There's no guarantee, but I suspect that we will end up much better than that right column shows we will at the end of this fiscal year. Just really big picture, looking forward to 26, 27, probably the most glaring item is just the uncertainty that has happened in our economy, in our world, in our country, in our federal funding, our state funding, and we're really sort of perplexed on kind of what that means and how impactful or harmful those can be to our economy globally and even just locally. And so that's really what we're going to focus on moving into this next budget cycle. The other thing that's happening is we are definitely seeing a greater need for general fund dollars to fill holes in some of our special revenues. Some of the areas where we do have reduced revenue projections are in things like our building permits and some of our fees, and we're not recommending any changes, but we do want to just put that out there for the council that we might be taking a look at sort of where we spend our money and how we spend it, and making sure that you agree with the budget from a policy perspective in the next cycle. And with that, I am willing to entertain any questions you might have.
Okay, so I'm sure we have questions from council. I'm wondering if we have any members of the public who are waiting to comment on this item. And if so, please make your way up to the podium. Okay, do we have anyone on Zoom?
No, we do not.
Okay, so how about I start to the right this time, if that works for you?
If somebody's ready, they can ask
Okay,
them.
whoever jump in, we'll popcorn it.
No, I'll jump in. I appreciate the conservative approach, and I think our constituents do as well, since, a couple of us Sarah and I took office during the pandemic, and that was a scary time, and there was a conservative approach taken then, and it got us through it and we've been fiscally healthy from as long as I've been serving, and I'm very appreciative of that. That's not always the case. We were just at the Cal Cities quarterly meeting, and there are other communities that are declaring fiscal emergencies. So I'm grateful that that is not us. So I appreciate that approach.
I just want to thank Director Miller here for just all the work that you have done on our budget, and just how clear and transparent you make it to all of us, and how well you are able to explain what's going on in these meetings and the PowerPoints and everything. It just makes, getting up here and really not having too many questions, because you do such a good job of making everything really clear. So thank you.
And I will just say that, moving forward and as we get into the budget process, that, a lot of things come before us that sound very exciting and
accomplish and not have our lofty goals out there. And so that's where I'm going to be coming from is that we can get our projects that we actually have on the books right now completed. And after we get those completed, then we can see in the future what else we want to do. But staff carries a big burden. They have a lot of things on their plate all the time to accomplish. And I would really like to see us accomplish what we already have approved and what was in our goals before we get flamboyant and get into, oh, we can do this and do that. And so that's probably, even though I have some ideas of things that we can do, I still think they can. I'm going to really think about how we can improve our sales tax. That's one of the things I'm going to be really interested in, and how we can make things work better for us in many different ways. And I'm also really going to be interested in how much of a load our building department can carry with new development that could be on the horizons and what they can do in-house, that we don't have to send it out, and we can be more efficient in our units here within the city of Arcata. So anyway.
And like my fellow council members, I concur, very grateful for you. I used to be really afraid of budgets, and you've made it so much easier to understand. So thank you. And yes, we do have a daunting future, and I do appreciate very much your conservative approach. Our mid-year budget review shows that we pretty much are overall on track with the recommended adjustments and to align our expenditures and revenues for 2025-26, and very much appreciate all the staff's work in keeping our finances transparent and accountable. And with that, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 256-47, approving budget revisions for fiscal year 2025 and 26.
Second.
Okay, so we
Unless
have,
someone else second down there.
who has the second?
We were fighting for it, but Alex got
it. Okay, so she's quick. All right, so we have a motion from Councilmember Atkins Salzar and a second from Councilmember Stillman. It looks like we don't need any more discussion. Correct me if I'm wrong. So let's, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 And I say aye, so the motion passes. Now that brings us to public hearing to consider accomplishments to be reported for Arcata's Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, grant numbers 22-CDBG, P as in Paul, L as in Larry, 20035, Valley West Neighborhood Center Assessment for final closeout. Can we have a staff report from Community Development Director David Loya, please?
Yeah, again, just briefly, this is another procedural agenda item. Previously, the council accepted the final report for the Valley West study, and we discussed that at that time. This action is really procedural, and it's intended to allow a formal closeout of the grant and directing staff to report that to CDBG, the Community Development Block Grant Program. It's a required step once we get a grant that we have a formal closeout, and so that's what we're doing tonight. So we would encourage you to open public comment and then make the motion on packet page 182 to direct us to submit the, prepare and submit the final closeout documents to CDBG.
Do we have anybody in the public who would like to make comment on this? If so, please make your way to the podium.
Hi, my name is Joanne McGarry, and just very quickly, I know we're saying a lot of these and we all understand CDBG, but again, if people are watching this, I would really like if we could spell it out, say it in complete words, so that people have an understanding that it's a community development block grant instead of a punk rock group. It just really helps, I think, in the communication that it doesn't always have to be said, but at least in the beginning, so that people listening in know what we're talking about.
Thank you for your comment. Do we have any other members in the public who would like to comment on this item? If not, we will move to Zoom, please.
We do not have any hands on Zoom.
Okay, so that brings it back to council. Do we have any questions or comments from council? And I guess I'll start to the right.
It's a big day of closure for you. Huh? I don't have any comments. Thank you.
Well, I'm really happy that we did this in Valley West because it's been something, Valley West has been of interest for the city for a long time, trying to figure out what to do. I feel for improvement in many different aspects of Valley West over the years. And I think that this is a good report that we have, and it gives us a basis and grounding of what we can do in the future, even though we aren't able to afford to do it at this time. But at least we know where to go and what the interest is in the community. So I thank you for that. But I've made all the motions tonight, so I won't make this one.
And I just would like to add, just as a Valley West resident, I'm proud of the work that our staff has done with regards to this assessment. And as pointed out by Council Member Stillman, while the development of a neighborhood center will require significant funding and partnerships, this study indeed does give us a clear understanding of what the community needs in the position, and it positions us well for future opportunities. And with that, then do we have a motion?
I will move to direct staff to submit the final reports and the closeout package to the state and authorize our city manager to execute all applicable documents.
I will second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Council Member Schaefer, a second from Council Member Matthews. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I say aye, so motion passes. Okay, so E, adopt resolution number 256-48, accepting the 2025 general plan annual progress report. May we have a staff report from Director Community Development, David Loya, please.
Yeah, good evening again. So this agenda item is for the council to accept our progress report on the general plan. We do these annually. Before the council reviews them, the planning commission reviews them and makes recommendations. So they did recommend that the council adopt this general plan annual performance report, otherwise known as an APR. And there's no format for these. We're really, it's up to each jurisdiction to figure out how to do these reports. And for the longest time, we just sort of followed what had been done before. And a couple of years ago, Deputy Director Dart and I figured that there was a better way to do this. So what you'll see in the report are basically three sections. The first one just does a quick overview on the housing element. This is not our housing element report. We're also required to report annually on the housing element. But this is of interest to the community and to the council, and so we put a separate section for that. This was Jen's idea. The second is really just the table of implementation measures. If you recall, when you adopted the general plan, at the end of each element of the general plan, there's a whole table of implementation measures, things that we wanted to get done that would help to go to implement the policy. And so we basically took those implementation measures and put them into a tabular format and then annually report on the items that we've made progress on. You will see that not all of the implementation measures are represented here. If we didn't do progress on one of the implementation measures, chances are good it's been left out of this table. And I do think that you got a public comment to that effect, asking for some report on something that frankly we haven't made progress on this year. And then the last section is any general plan updates. We are preparing to propose any minor updates associated with the work that Lisa Weiss Consulting is doing. But at this point, we don't really have many updates to recommend. So that's the structure of the document. Happy to answer any. I'm not going to go into any of the detail in the document, but happy to answer any questions. And with that, I'd ask that you open it for public comment and then adopt Resolution 25648 so we can submit this thing to the state on time.
So let's open it up for public comment. Anybody in person, please make your way to this podium. And it looks like nobody is, so let's check online.
We do not have any hands
All
online.
right, so let's, does anyone in the council have questions? Need clarification from the council? I'll start from the left, please.
No, I think we should move forward.
I'm really stoked that we made 91% of our arena allocation. That's really cool. That's amazing.
And I just want to thank Jen Dart too, because I know she's like a really driving force behind this, and you as well, Director Loya. But thank you. Go team.
Well, and also I appreciate that you did come up with a way to, instead of just haphazardly say, we're doing a good job, to really outline it for us. And so thank you.
And I concur. The general annual plan progress report highlights the city's progress on key goals over the past year, demonstrating our ongoing commitment to thoughtful planning and sustainable growth. And as everyone else has stated, we really appreciate the work that goes into tracking and reporting these efforts. And with that, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 256-48, accepting the 2025 general plan annual progress report.
Second.
So we have a motion from Councilmember Atkins Salzar, a second from Councilmember Stillman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I say aye, so motion passes. Thank you. All right, that brings us to oral and written communication. The council values your comments. The public comment period allows people to address the council on matters not on the agenda. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Please note, pursuant to the Brown Act, council cannot discuss or take action on items not listed on the agenda. The council may respond to statements. If you are in person and wanting to give public comment, please line up now at the podium and please raise your electronic hand if you're on Zoom, or press *9 if you're on a phone line and you would like to make a public comment. When we move over to online public comment, I will ask the city clerk if we have, how many hands we have raised, and we'll proceed from there with the number of people who have raised their hand at that time. Please.
Hi, my name's Joanne McGarry. Again, I say my name each time because if people want to know who I am, that's why I do it. I want to talk about 3 things. First of all, thank you, Rhea and whoever, for giving me this hearing device. I actually either lost or misplaced my hearing aids, and they haven't necessarily worked very well in this room anyway, but this has really saved the day for me in really being able to hear what's happening in this room. And ADA requirements, I ran into someone, just to share with you, there's each municipality, depending on the number of seats in the room, et cetera, there's certain requirements for how many hearing devices you're supposed to have. There's going to be a new rule in ADA about digital adaptations for disabilities that is really important, that's going into effect in April. I have a person who I was talking to who is willing to talk to any of you who are interested in finding out more about how we can better do our ADA compliance for that. So that's the one thing I wanted to say about this. Thank you, and there's more that needs to be done. Secondly, I want to talk about the Climate Action Plan. I hope that something will be on the agenda very, very soon. It was passed in December, I believe, by the Board of Supervisors, and the City of Eureka, I think, passed it in either January or February, and I haven't seen it on the City of Arcata agenda. I'm going for a goal of Earth Day in April, that this thing will finally get passed by all the municipalities in Humboldt, and we will have a implemented climate action plan to go forward, because there's a lot we need to do in a short period of time to reach the goals of that plan. So please do what you can to figure out how we can do the regional climate action plan and Arcata's part in it. And the final thing I guess I wanted to say, because I bring it up, and you know, war is something that bothers a lot of people, and things that remind people of war that happen in our community are it really impacts a lot of people and animals. And I'm talking about fireworks. And I know there are plenty of people out here who would really, really like to see that we no longer use fireworks as a way to celebrate. And there's plenty of other options, I think, available. And it's really a polluting, a climate impacting thing. It's expensive, it's dangerous, and it's harmful to the health of so many people. So I'm plugging with the county and I'm putting it out there to you. Let's stop the fireworks in our community.
Thank you for your comment. Next, please.
Hi, I'm changing gear. I was planning to talk about something completely different, but after I saw that you adapting the resolution, I'm kind of wondering why the city of Arcata taking position on complex international conflict, but that you don't have obviously any influence over there, but ignoring the real division being created here. The impact that a member of this community, I share with you what people, how does it look like to be a minority here, and Jewish resident. Zionist families are being really isolated here, misrepresented, and I think that many people, talk to Zoom that they cannot really come here. Obviously, I'm courageous here to come here, but many people stop participating in here. Just a few days ago, the city of San Diego adopted anti-Semitism resolution. I and other people requested it, and I never heard anybody here pick this idea that anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism is very, even here in the community, I share it with you, it doesn't matter. It seemed to me that the city members here it's a platform for them to talk about agenda, that they wanted it's a political platform, but I thought that you guys are also representing the minority, Zionists and Jewish, that requesting for you to address what is matter to us. It's only, I'm wondering if it's only the loud voices that people that come here consistently, but the people that are really afraid to come here, they are not really being heard in any way. This is very concerning to me. So I would like really to know one time, really respond to this, because people sending it to you also, email, I send an email, I don't really get any response. So I would like to know if there is any kind of discussion about anti-Semitism resolution. Thank you. And before I continue, the gentleman, I know that you're not supposed to comment on this, but the farmers market is an issue that I cannot really go to the farmers market. If these people that the Redwood Piece of Justice that are being in the farmers market, they're very intimidated, the people that are going there, and I cannot really go, and the city of Arcata renting the space for the growing association, the North Coast Growing Association, and these people are taking over the space. So I would like that you guys addressing this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Do we have anyone on Zoom at this time?
Yes, we have 2 hands raised.
Okay, we'll take the 2.
Okay. Free, please go ahead.
Hi, I was talking at the beginning, and my apology, I was very upset. As an Iranian woman that been tortured, raped by Islamic Republic, and I choose Humboldt as my home, someplace that I feel safe there. Really, I don't feel safe here. I don't feel safe here. I had a protest, little protest in the corner of the court, and some people joined, but some people were screaming. They don't even know what we are talking about. Nobody even want to hear true Iranian voice. I didn't talk to my family for 20 days. Do you guys really think we like to be bombed? No, we don't. But this is a rescue mission. This is a rescue mission. The people that came there and commented about this, where were they 2 months ago when 50,000 Iranian was massacred? Where were they when 2022, it was a woman uprising against a hijab and many Iranian got massacred, Iranian women? Where were they in 2019 that many got massacred? I can go on and on. But now everybody's in Iran become important. Why? Because Israel, oh my gosh, Israel is there. No, we love Israel. We appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. Please, please. Hello?
We're still here listening.
Oh,
You
okay.
still have
Sorry.
time.
I thought you got. I'm really appreciative you give me this time, but please let us be heard. Let us. It's always two sides in every story. I know you guys for a peace. We are for a peace too. We want a peace too. But with this terrorist government, we cannot have peace. When you guys talk about, oh, our money is getting expended in the war right now, how come you guys didn't care about spending your money on Palestine? How come you guys is still thinking about Gaza? Oh, Gaza need help. But when it comes to Iranian, oh, we don't want to use our money for a war. Like we don't want it. Please be cautious about what you're talking about. You guys are women. Stand with Iranian women. We've been through a lot. We can feel the freedom. Just please be cautious about when you're talking about Iran. I love you guys. I appreciate what you guys doing. God bless you guys. God bless America. God bless Israel. Have a good night. Thank you so much. Free Iran. Free Iran. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. Next.
Jody, please go ahead.
Hi, my name's Jody, and I wasn't going to speak tonight. I really just came to listen. I've been gone for a couple of months because my mother was very, very ill and was in ICU for over a month, and I'm taking care of her. And but I couldn't not respond to some of the things that were said. First, I want to say that as far as the Gaza sister city is concerned, we should never have a sister city with a place that is run by a terrorist organization. This is not going to change until Gaza changes. This is not going to change. I don't care how much money that the peace and justice people raise for Gaza and send to their handlers there. It is still a place run by terrorists. Does the Peace and Justice Coalition, are they willing to accept that Israel has a right to exist? Until they can do that, there should be no discussion about it. Just because they scream the loudest doesn't mean that everybody in Arcata agrees with them. The city council should be for all of Arcatans, not just the ones who scream the most. A lot of violence has gone on in this country, and it isn't the Jews that are doing it. So I just want to put that in there. Now, I think Iran needs to be helped. I think we're doing the right thing. I think Israel's doing the right thing to help them. I don't like it when women are raped and murdered. They are innocent civilians who are unarmed. We should be helping them. Our city council. We should be adopting a resolution against the IRGC's violence against the Iranian people. Just like the last caller said, you guys don't even want to hear about it. You don't want to talk about it. And I noticed the Peace and Justice Coalition people don't talk about all the people being murdered by the IRGC. And the reason for that is because the IRGC is the ones who fund Hamas and fund Hezbollah and fund the Houthis. They're the ones who supply all the weapons and the missiles and the illegal cluster bombs that are being rained down on Israel as we speak. I think that you need to put things in perspective here. There's a lot of things that people don't understand about what's happening, or maybe you don't want to understand. Our newspaper here is a very anti-Semitic paper that only prints stories that are against Jews in Israel and also against the Iranian people. It's time to wake up, folks.
Thank you for your comment, Jody. Could you tell me, is that was it? Okay. Thank you. All right, so that brings us to item 13, the city manager's report. Does the city manager have anything to report?
Thank you, Mayor White. Just a couple of things. A lot of people have been sending in comments and had questions about what's happening with the downtown fire. It is a big pile. It is a mess. And I just wanted to just give a little bit of a status update. It's a little bit of a tricky thing. Arcata Fire District completed their report some time ago with their findings. The insurance companies that are working on behalf of the property owners had over 15 investigators go out there and did additional investigation. My understanding, they're close to wrapping their investigations up. I think any day now, but certainly within the next 2 weeks, that should be done. And before that's done, they are not releasing the sites to property owners for cleanup. The site cleanup is a responsibility of the property owners. The first opportunity they'll have to do that is when the site is cleaned up. We're anticipating and eagerly awaiting this day. We've been meeting with the various property owners of those properties. We've been helping them to clarify the permitting process. We brought the county in that would take the lead in permitting removal projects such as that. We've brought some funding sources to the table that the property owners might be eligible for, and we've also been help provide contractor qualifications and quotes for those property owners, and they're also seeking quotes themselves. So there's a lot of work going into it, and we're just eagerly waiting for that site to get turned back over to the property owners. And so it's not the city's responsibility at this point, but if after the site's release we don't see action, then the city certainly will step in and take action. But at this point, the property owner's hands are tied, and there's not any orders requiring them to take any action sooner. So we're doing everything we can to speed that up and keep that process moving. So they're putting their, we had a meeting with our downtown business group, and Stephen Liu from our engineering department came and presented, but they'll be going door to door, providing informational flyer, business cards so that they have a contact with the engineering department who they can call. So we're doing our best to accommodate those businesses, do advanced communication 2 to 3 weeks out, as well as putting up parking notices and other things beforehand. And so we know it's an impact. We're going to do our best to minimize those. And so we're taking the time and energy to make sure that we're getting in front of this. But again, you can't avoid the impacts when you're going down the street, digging up a water line. Roads have to be closed, parking has to be eliminated. And so we're doing our best to minimize those disturbances and make sure people know that our businesses are open and trying not to impact them. That's all I have. Thank you.
So thank you for that. And I do want to just mention that apparently there's some late hours that our staffers are staying up late to make sure that the water gets back on as soon as possible, and very much appreciate that you're doing that. So that brings us to, unless there's any questions?
Yeah, can I
perhaps?
just, yeah.
Absolutely.
Normally we don't, but I just have one, and I don't know that you'll know the answer, and maybe our fire chief's here, he might know, but I would assume that the insurance companies have a certain amount of time in which to do their, and I would hope that there's a set time that they have to do those investigations so that it just can't drag on indefinitely. Do you know if there's precedent for that?
I do not know. But what, we're getting the information secondhand from the property owners, and we met with them last week. We have another meeting scheduled for April 2nd. And what they're telling us, they told us at our meeting last week, was that they expect to receive something within 1 week. And so I'm saying on the outside, hopefully 2 weeks, but again, there's a lot of moving parts there, and we don't have that firsthand communication with those insurance companies. So I don't know. And so I see our chief coming forward. Maybe he has some inclination for that. I wish I did know that answer and I could talk to the insurance companies directly.
I was just curious.
Those are actually subcontractors for each insurance company. So the investigators that are out there might be with Travelers, they could be with State Farm, but realistically, they're probably working for another company, maybe like Fire Cause Analysis or something. So they're contracted out. What I will say is each individual company probably has a policy. I don't know that for a fact, but just the investigators I know, they typically conduct their investigation and then they'll say, and I'm just pulling it out of the air, 30 days to get it done for the company. So that's speculation on my part that it's 30 days, but hopefully that's the case with them.
All right, thank you. And just along those lines of that part of the block, I don't know if any of you have had this, but I've had people email and reach out and tell me what should or shouldn't go there, and that is private property. So as long as it's within our code, and it's not for us to say how the folks rebuild their properties.
Thank you. Those were good questions, and thank you for clarifying that for anybody who has ideas of what should be there. They'll have to speak to the property owners if they have those ideas, not us. So that brings us to council reports, and I believe I should start on the right this time.
Am I on the right? All right. All right. So, just again, thank you, Access Humboldt, who does, stream all of our meetings. It is the week of sunshine. Tomorrow night is the Rays of Sunshine Awards, again at the Eureka Theater from 5:30 to 7:30. Let's see. Congratulations to Cassandra and the Humboldt Del Norte Film Commission. I had a great time celebrating with them this weekend when the movie that was filmed here won 6 Oscars. So great job. I'm sorry, this is like so trivial right now, but the Arcata Arts Institute High School Musical starts next week. My son might be in it. So it's next week and the week after. They've been working really hard. They're like rehearsing every week until 10 o'clock at night. It's amazing. So it's going to be really good. Plaza Grill's reopening. That's pretty awesome too. As many times as one can still see Bill Chino. Should see him. I will not be at the next council meeting, which is on April 1st, which is the first night of Passover. So yeah, thank you.
Somebody brought up the cap. I don't know when we're going to see it here, but I do know that there's a lot of work happening on that because Redwood Coast Energy Authority is going to be housing the position, who's going to be the county-wide, implementer, and then help person, working on the cap. And so that's going to be, we're updating our org chart and everything at our next RCEA meeting to allow to start hiring for that position and get somebody into it. And so I imagine we will be seeing that at some point in the near future. I had the immense, beautiful, wonderful honor of attending the Civic Well Conference this last weekend at Yosemite National Park. And it was not pouring snow this year like it was last year, bombarding us with snow. I don't know. It doesn't really pour snow, but it was, there's just so many great things and always, a lot of big ideas, of course, and an opportunity to get to just network and talk with other elected officials. But I will say my favorite presentation was on transformative neighborhood scale energy solutions. And it was wonderful. And I got to meet somebody from UC Berkeley who's actually liaisoned a little bit with our staff and has talked to folks on our energy committee and staff. And they have some really cool ideas of just some pilot projects that they're running down in like Richmond and Oakland right now of virtual power plants and resilient blocks and things like that. And so I think that probably is a little bit more in my RCEA hat, but who knows? It could be something that gets trialed and we try out here in Arcata too. And so there's some really cool stuff happening just to kind of, again, push people towards electrification and just show the possibilities of being able to lower bills through, more energy efficient appliances and changing to things like induction and heat pumps and all that stuff. And so it was just really interesting to see, what other CCAs are doing. And I think that's all I'll talk about. And again, just to, we talked about how we got 91% on our arena allocation. It's really nice to be in a room of people that are complaining about how they will never get to 91%. And so again, our community development department does a great job. So.
And just to return back to acronyms, because I know somebody here had asked that we not, no, I'm talking about the climate action plan, just to let them know that and the regional climate action plan will be on our agenda April 15th. And I will move on to the next person.
Thank you. I attended the homelessness working group today, and I think we're waiting for some data to bring back just about the extreme weather shelters and some funding. So Darlene's working on that for us. I attended an HWMA board meeting, also had some additional meetings related to that throughout the past couple of weeks. I attended Cal Cities in Ukiah, our quarterly meeting of all the regional cities. And I forgot to list this, so I don't have the number, but I am excited. One of the things we talked about is new legislation that's coming forward for the next 2 years. And there is a bill that Cal Cities is actually sponsored that limits, it's not a full attempt to roll back the Citizens United decision, but it is an attempt to pull it apart a little bit and to take money, corporate money out of elections. That would be amazing. It was polling at like an 80% approval rate across the board. So it's definitely, and Cal Cities they're not partisan. They represent all the cities in their league. So it's very, they have to be very careful, the legislation that they sponsor, because there's such a diverse amount of, of cities, but this one is polling at 80%. So that gives me some hope. I went to a ribbon cutting for Squirrelfield Photography, their new studio that they have on South G, and I too am super excited about the Plaza Grill reopening.
Okay, so we were all sent a Zoom link for risk management, and I'm assuming you all got on that and watched it. It was 2 hours long, but one of the things that I got out of it after I tripped on a sidewalk recently from a tree growing out into the sidewalk, lifting it up, is that the sidewalks are the responsibility of the property owner. So even though, and they're required to be put in or maintained or whatever by property owners, but they suggested loans for people that can't afford immediately to repair their sidewalks, that the city would loan them and then it would be attached to their deed. And so I'm thinking that might be something we want to look at. Another thing I was thinking about, because we were talking about well, we talked about it again tonight, about how we're really interested in figuring out what to do about our water meters. And we do have that one ordinance where when you have to do a sewer line lateral replacement. And I really think we should add on there water meters. I know it's what you all said to me at the last time when we brought this up, but I think it's going to be taken a while for us to, if we get this grant, to be able to replace them. And in the interim, I think it would be wise for us to start that as a building or house sells to do that. And so that, I don't know if anyone else agrees with me, but if someone else, maybe the city would move forward on it. On Wednesday, we had a group of students from Harvard University, and so Mike Wilson and Merritt Perry, our city manager, and myself talked to them. It was one of the hottest days we've had in Arcata, and oh my gosh, they were putting their coats over their heads, trying to not get sunburned from the sun. I'm thinking, it was a hot day. We provided no water. We provided nothing but walking around on the streets and standing in the center of the plaza. But they seem to get a lot of information out of it and seem to enjoy it. When I was a docent at the Marsh on Sunday, I noticed that the Arcata Marsh Institute, they have installed a new upgrade to the treatment system. So when you come there now, you can see how our sewer treatment system works. And there's an excellent photographic bird display out there also. Breeze Airlines has come to our area. It's come to ACV, ACV being Arcata, but nevertheless, it's our airport. And they came in from Las Vegas on Wednesday, and then they came in from Burbank on Thursday. So now we have that service that goes to both of those places, and I think it's really wonderful to see what's going on with our airport. I attended the Arcata Economic Development Strategic Planning meeting. I attended 2 of those. I also never get over the fact of how many people in our community have a headlight out or a tail light out. I know this is my thing. No one else ever cares about it, but it drives me nuts because I see it all the time now.
Mine was out the other day, and I thought of you. Like,
oh,
Alex is going to get me. No,
if you look, if you drive or walk or I want to scream at people, headlight out, headlight, tail light. And I wish I had a megaphone and I could use it. Or maybe just for whatever. We also are having quite dearth or whatever word you want to use of graffiti. And it's appearing on a lot of buildings. And I don't know how we're going to deal with it, but it's keeps popping up. And I don't know if the police department is trying to figure that out, but it's down at the marsh. It's on the buildings. We painted it out, but it was on the buildings downtown on the plaza, and it's on the trails. And some of it is pretty derogatory that's been printed on some of the places. So that's basically what I have done. And I want to thank Rhea, our city clerk, for all the work she's been doing. And I really appreciate it. And I know it's above and beyond. So thank you very much.
And I concur on that. So thank you, Rhea. You are extraordinaire. I did want to mention that former councilman Michael Winkler has been working on the graffiti. We had a conversation recently, so.
But he can't do some of it. It's way too much.
Right, so I did tell him that I can rally the troops and get a bunch of volunteers, and so we are poised and ready to help out in any way we can.
Okay. Well, some of it's on second floors, and it
Great.
really requires
So
painters.
we will, thank you for bringing that to the forefront. I think it's very important, and I agree. And so hopefully we will come up with a solution to address it and take care of that, because it is important. So yesterday I attended a liaison meeting with Cal Poly Humboldt. Our Arcata staff shared updates on the city programs. Chief Chris Emmons provided an Arcata Fire District update, and Cal Poly Humboldt shared information on the university and the upcoming academic schedule. It was wonderful to engage with the university on issues affecting both campus and community, and I'm pleased that we will continue to deepen our relationship and collaboration between town and gown. I will be attending the Humboldt County Association of Government meeting tomorrow. On Monday, the 23rd, the SBDC, the Small Business Development Commission Center, thank you. We'll be hosting a disaster preparedness workshop at 5:30 for anyone who has not yet registered. We encourage interested businesses to attend. I will also have the honor as the mayor of Arcata to participate in the spring preview event at Cal Poly Humboldt on March 28th. I will be sharing what life is like as a resident of Arcata and Humboldt County with prospective students and families. And finally, a brief update on CUNA, Comunidad Unida del Norte Arcata, or Community United of North Arcata, has been busy with many free offerings, including nutrition, cooking workshops, free ballet terapia, dance therapy, exercise classes, ongoing free pantry and free produce days. And then also I was one of 20 chosen for the USDA Master Food Preserver Program, which I recently completed. So be on the lookout for upcoming free food preservation workshops at CUNA. And also just to say that while the focus of CUNA is the Valley West North Arcata, we have had people from as far north as Trinidad and as far south as Fortuna. All are welcome, and we hope to see you there. That's all I have. Dates of future meetings and future agenda items. We will be confirming 3 fiscal year 2026-2027 budget study sessions for April 6th, April 8th, and April 29th, each at 3:30 p.m. in the council chamber. And unless anyone has anything else to say, this meeting is adjourned.